The best of the morning to you. This is Monday with Friday, preparing you for a better week ahead. When I referred to last week as the final week in Lent, it was because I was already focused on this week more as Holy Week than of Lent. But of course, everyone knows Lent ends this Saturday. So thanks, Althea C, for your keen listening, alertness, and your correction. Holy Week always fascinates me, if only because the first Holy Week was anything but holy from a human perspective. Neither was the first Good Friday anything other than a bad Friday. Misunderstanding, hypocrisy, conflict, intrigue, lies, betrayal, self-serving, cowardice, abandonment, prejudice, miscarriage of justice, judicial excesses, political ambitions, political disappointment, and religious shallowness and trickery all abounded. And no, I'm not talking about the scene in America today or in Trinidad and Tobago or Jamaica or Hungary or South Africa. No, I am still talking about all the elements that pervaded that last week leading to the crucifixion of Jesus. It was a tragic week. And the way we understand that week today can either perpetuate the tragedy or turn it for real at long last into a Holy Week and a Good Friday. It was a tragic week that mirrors too eerily the tragedy of our times. When I said from the pulpit in a Christian congregation on Palm Sunday last year that the people who shouted Hosanna, Hosanna at Jesus as he rode into Jerusalem were really saying, "Save us, make Israel great again," those words, accurate as they were, made some folks angry and some stormed out never to return again. The Pharisees and priests, using the cloak of religion and law, pulled every trick out of the bag to defame, disparage, deface, and then destroy Jesus, painting him as a radical liberal when all he was doing was challenging the systematically supremacist status quo about their greed, exclusivism, heartlessness, and callousness that left the poor and the marginalized behind. Does that sound familiar? In fact, Jesus took sides with the poor, the broken, the unlovely, the sick, the defenseless, and the lonely ones. And that landed him in lethal trouble. Now, it should have been clearer to the religious folk more than anybody else that there was something special, spiritual, and transformational about Jesus. But it was the chief priests who connived and colluded with Judas to betray him. When Pilate referred to him disdainfully as king and asked the Jewish crowds if he should crucify their king, it was the chief priests who replied, "We have no king but Caesar," followed by the crowd's calls to take him away with him, and let him be crucified. It was the adoring crowds who hailed him on Sunday as king, and who begged him to save them, presumably misunderstanding him to be a political and military deliverer from, no doubt, Roman hegemony, who had bitterly turned against him by Friday when he appeared, at least in their minds, to be a political pipe dream. The message was all lost when Jesus began his work 3 years before. The words he uttered as his manifesto, as I call it, were about thorough social transformation as much as they were about spiritual transformation. People who think of Jesus only as somebody who prepares them for heaven have missed the message and missed the boat. The standard Christian position is that Jesus died to save people from sin. Fine. But the facts will show that it was people's sin that killed Jesus. People think Jesus died to give them salvation, but a better understanding of the Gospels would show that Jesus was executed for pursuing a spiritual and social ethic that did not glorify materials, money, and power, which all leave the poor behind, and much human wreckage in its wake, and deface the creation and the created order that God always intended. Jesus was crucified for challenging the status quo, for taking sides with the outcast, and for blistering a legalistic system that cared about laws and not about people, and which made laws precisely to keep people oppressed. You don't have to look very far to find the irony that among the most oppressive people in societies today are some who are religious, who use religion to oppress others, to set up a system that elevates them above others and crush those above whom they set themselves. Among them, incredibly, are some who call themselves Christians. They have not learned anything from the Jesus who has left a solid record and example of advocacy for others, service to others, and revolution of the whole social order in the name of God's created order. This example of Jesus, if truly embraced by any who claim to be his followers, especially any who hold power, economic, intellectual, social, political, governmental, civic, or any other kind of power, would transform the world, the 2.5 billion of us who claim to be Christians. And if we who did the Jesus thing rather than our own fraudulent thing, we would change the world. I am Michael Friday, and your week just got better. I'll see you again next week. Happy Holy Monday all the way to Good Friday.